Sunday. So, thanks, and I would invite the first speaker to come and talk. So it's Andreas Panteli. It's a graduate of the University of Cyprus, and the second speaker is also a graduate of the University of Cyprus, so we are primarily proud of them. And so, Andreas.
So hello everyone, I hope you can hear me. First, I'm honored to be here with you today. You know, a few years ago I was a student here, and now I can come and present, and I'm really very honored to be here, and thank you, Professor Digiatos, for inviting me. Today I want to talk about 3 oppositions I was facing in the last years. It's the main one I was struggling with, and I want to share them with you. The first one is, when you want to enter entrepreneurship, you have this position of idea versus execution, and I want to speak a bit about that. The second is about finishing the degree. So what is the right path? Is it joining a startup or joining a mid or big organization? And the third one is about perseverance and being on your comfort zone. But before I go there, the title is a bit fancy, and I wanted to talk a bit about that as well. So here you see on the left-hand side the people who brought the change 40 years ago. It was rock stars. It was people who through their lyrics had the power to influence and bring change, traveling the world and giving their ideas and bringing the change that we have today. On the right-hand side, we see what is currently the people who bring the change. It's people who give their startup, people who want to change the world, not through their songs, but through their software, or at least through business ideas that are bringing into the world and want to make them either for profit or for non-for-profit. And this is the sexy thing we have now. So if you want to be sexy, you have a startup. And I hope this sexy becomes constant, and this one goes all over again and never stops. And we see a prosperous Cyprus in the future. So the first opposition I wanted to talk is about the idea versus execution. And people who have not passed through building something new from the beginning, they're struggling a lot about finding changing the word idea. You know, you have to find this great idea and then you start executing. If it's not a good idea, it's already existing, you know, or finding so many excuses about the idea, and if it's not a changing the word, you never start. But through my experience so far, what I found out is, and maybe it's a secret, that the idea that you start will never end up being the same at the end. So there are a lot of iterations. So you have an idea, you start executing, and you realize that, oh, there are so many other things that we can do or we can change to make this idea more effective, or at least make it work. So for me, I remember when I was at the master's degree, we were having 7 months to develop a business plan. And we sit down, there were around 15 teams, and we sit down and we were thinking, okay, we have these 7 months, let's do something, let's develop something. And a lot of teams had this, let's find a changing the world ideas, and then we can become the best team. But for us it was a bit different. We said, we don't need to find the best idea, we need just to find an idea, find a problem that we are facing, and let's do it. We don't have anything to lose, we have 7 months, let's have a prototype. So we set a plan, and we actually built a product. It's not changing the work product, it's just a keyboard cover that it's biodegradable, it's a patent-pending product, which is, yeah, it's just an idea that conceptualized, and at the end of the 7 months, we didn't have the changing the world idea, but we had the idea that came second on the competition. The lesson learned here is not about finding the great idea, it's about identifying a problem and start executing and start finding solutions to that problem. And for me, so which one wins here? It's this one. It's like I call it 10%. So idea is just 10%, but the rest 90% is just sitting down and actually doing it. And I'm not sure if you're aware of the lean methodology. And if you are not, it's good to have a look at, because it's through iteration that you actually execute and do something. The second thing is about, I was struggling when I was finishing my degree. Maybe a lot of you here, if you are finishing your degree, you are thinking, okay, what is the right path? Should we make a startup? Risk it, or should we go, find a work and sure money, less risk? And I was struggling as well. Maybe a lot of you have this, and there is no real right path. On the one side, you enter entrepreneurship, you are in an environment that it's unclear, you don't know what is the future, you risk a lot. And on the other side, you enter an organization, everything it's set out, there are processes you need to follow, you receive a request, you just deliver, you know what's your next career path. And a lot of you might wondering am I ready? Do I have the skills to become entrepreneur? And one professor that it's actually here today, he made a research of that about are entrepreneurs being born or made? And what he found out is that 60% of those entrepreneurs are made. So you don't need to be born in an environment where you have everything to become an entrepreneur, but you can build it on your own. So this is positive, I guess, on my side. Another thing I want to mention to you is, it came out in my mind a few months ago that if we say that the average age here, people, it's around 25 years old, you may think that with the current retirement rate, age is 65, so you still have 40 years to work either in a company, to do your startup or whatever. So if you sacrifice 2 or 3 years of your career when you finish your degree to try something, it's basically nothing, because you still have another 37 years to do whatever else you want to do. And especially now that you don't have dependence, or maybe you don't have children. Or you can do something that what I do now. Basically, I'm a big organization where I do the so-called intrapreneurship. So how that works? Basically, you need to enter an organization and show to them that you're young, but you are capable. And it's not easy to do that. And if you manage to do that, you can become entrepreneur in the organization. So what I'm doing now, my role is basically to identify business cases, find sponsors within the organization, and then develop and execute that within the organization. It's not easy, but it can be done. And the project I'm doing now basically is in Kenya, and I'm receiving a very good feedback so far. So if we see and compare those two, from my experience, I would say that I'm leaning a bit more onto entrepreneurship, and it depends what you want to call entrepreneurship, but it can be within a startup or it can be within a big organization doing something new and novel. The third one, it's perseverance versus comfort zone. So this is the tricky thing, because it's the easiest. People will say, obviously, it's perseverance. You cannot join a startup or do your own if you are in the comfort zone. But it's not about talking and realizing, it's about really doing it, and it's not easy. you have to be ready to burn and crash. You have to be ready to lose everything at some point. And this is where you have to be strong and stand up and move forward. Or you can follow the river and do what the comfort zone putting you in. Maria, she's talking later on, she chose to stop her job and do a startup. So for me, that was one of the things that you get inspired. So I wish I could have more space to take comfort zone out of the screen, but I couldn't do anything more. And yeah, just to finish the three things I wanted to talk about, I started about the idea execution. So if you have an idea, if you have a problem, just start building something, find a solution, try to do it. If you are finishing your degree and you are not sure, and now the things in Cyprus are not the best, the ideal place, maybe it's a good thing after all, because people can have the opportunities to do something on their own. And I'm sure at least University of Cyprus is one of the organizations that can help and guide. And I remember when I was at the computer science degree, it was, you had all the tools on your hands to build what you want. And the last one, be prepared to burn and crash, and don't stop, stand up and move forward. Thank you.